Hey guys, I'm diving deep into the wild crime secrets that have been hidden for 20 years, and I'm challenging myself to uncover the truth behind them all. Tonight, we uncover the hidden crimes that time tried to erase, secrets locked away in cold files, waiting to be unleashed. Let's get started. Gaurav Rathore was born in 1975 in Lucknow, into a middle-class family with a long tradition in real estate. From a young age, he watched his father skillfully manage both large and small real estate projects, inspiring Gaurav to develop sharp instincts for negotiation and business. Yet he didn't want to live forever in his family's shadow. Determined to forge his own path, Gaurav started small, taking brokerage jobs, slowly building a reputation for his sophistication, ingenuity, and remarkable ability to read customer psychology. By 2000, at the age of 25, Gaurav had become the director of a small but promising real estate company in Gurgaon. Ambitious and sharp, he kept his emotions carefully hidden, maintaining an elegant demeanor and unwavering decisiveness. In early 2003, during a business trip to Chandigarh to survey the market and seek investment partners, a chance encounter would change his life. He stayed at a small boutique hotel known for its tranquility and refined service, and it was there at the reception desk that he met Shreya Joshi. Shreya, born in 1978 in Mumbai, was raised in a traditional, discreet family. As the only daughter in a middle-class household, she was brought up with strict values and a graceful sensitivity. After graduating, Shreya chose a quieter life, far from the chaos of Mumbai, working as a receptionist at the boutique hotel in Chandigarh, a job she loved for the gentle interactions it offered while allowing her to maintain a safe distance from the world. Her beauty was not dazzling but understated, with a quiet, profound charm that captivated without demanding attention. When Gaurav checked in, he was immediately drawn to her calm demeanor and expressive, slightly distant eyes that seemed to hide an entire world behind them. And Shreya, though reserved, sensed something different about Gaurav too, a confidence and depth that spoke of experience, not arrogance. Their first interaction was brief, a simple check-in, but an invisible thread had begun to weave between them, silent and persistent. In the days that followed, Gaurav found reasons, sometimes genuine, sometimes not, to stop by the reception. He would ask about tourist attractions, hotel services, or simply anything to extend their conversations. Shreya always remained polite, her responses soft and measured, never revealing too much. But it was this very reserve that fascinated Gaurav even more. On the third evening, sitting alone at the hotel cafe, Gaurav saw Shreya walk by with a colleague. She offered him a faint, polite smile, like a soft breeze. He returned it with a calm nod, but inside he felt an unfamiliar confusion, a stirring he had rarely experienced. When he checked out the next morning, he lingered a little longer than usual, thanking her thoughtfully. As he boarded his flight back to Delhi, he realized he could not get Shreya out of his mind. A few weeks later, under the pretext of unfinished business, Gaurav returned to Chandigarh, booking the same hotel. Shreya was surprised but remained professional. However, as days passed and conversations grew more personal, the distance between them slowly melted away. At first, Shreya politely declined Gaurav's invitations for coffee or dinner. But one evening, seeing him sitting alone on the hotel balcony, tired and thoughtful, she quietly approached and sat down opposite him. For the first time, they spoke outside the confines of professionalism, about childhood memories, forgotten dreams, and simple hopes. From then on, every visit Gaurav made to Chandigarh wasn't just for work anymore. They began taking walks around Sukna Lake, sharing simple dinners at small street corner restaurants. Slowly, Shreya's reserved exterior softened in Gaurav's presence, and Gaurav, amidst his ambitious life, found a peacefulness he had never known. What began as random meetings grew into intentional, heartfelt connections. Nearly a year later, Gaurav realized he hadn't just fallen for her. He had found the woman he wanted to spend his life with. On a breezy afternoon by Sukna Lake, as the sunset painted golden ripples across the water, Gaurav decided to propose. There were no elaborate decorations, no grand gestures, just the sound of the wind through the trees and the quiet beating of two hearts. He pulled out a simple silver ring from his pocket, looking into Shreya's eyes with pure sincerity. Shreya hesitated for a moment, not out of doubt, but because she knew she wasn't one to make impulsive decisions. But in that moment, everything felt right. She smiled, her eyes shimmering, and gave a gentle nod, a small gesture that spoke volumes. From that day, they were no longer two strangers from different worlds, but a close, inseparable pair. Their love was not fiery and dramatic, but gentle and enduring, like a quiet river that deepens and strengthens over time. After the engagement, Gaurav continued his fast-paced work life, managing his real estate company while carving out every spare moment for Shreya. Long evening phone calls, quick text messages during meetings, and quiet weekends sipping tea on their apartment balcony became the anchors of their bond. Shreya, who once guarded her heart so tightly, now welcomed Gaurav into her world, gradually trusting his silent care, his patient presence, his steadfastness. Gaurav soon approached his family in Lucknow. Initially, his parents were hesitant. They had expected him to marry someone from a prominent, well-connected family. But when they met Shreya, her quiet strength, humility, and sincere love for Gaurav won them over, especially his discerning mother, who recognized the rare depth Shreya carried within her. Similarly, Gaurav visited Mumbai to meet Shreya's family. In their modest third-floor apartment, amidst simple home-cooked meals and careful observations, Shreya's parents saw in Gaurav a man of maturity, humility, and gentle strength, and more importantly, a man who truly cherished their daughter. Their wedding took place in March 2004 at a serene resort by Sukna Lake, the place where it all began. Shreya, in a delicate pink silk sari, looked shy yet radiant. Gaurav, in a cream sherwani, stood tall and proud. Friends and family gathered, feeling the deep sincerity and peace that surrounded the young couple. In the months following the wedding, Gaurav and Shreya settled into a quiet, cozy life in Gurgaon. Gaurav continued managing his growing real estate projects, while Shreya gracefully transitioned into the role of a homemaker, quietly becoming the unwavering support behind her ambitious husband. They kept alive the small traditions that had brought them together. Weekend strolls, quiet balcony talks, simple home-cooked meals. Though Shreya didn't fully understand the intricacies of Gaurav's business world, she listened patiently, offering gentle encouragement, grounding him with her presence. Their life was not free from challenges, but they faced everything hand in hand, bound not just by love, but by mutual respect, responsibility, and a quiet but powerful companionship. And thus began the next chapter of Gaurav and Shreya's journey, not loud, not dazzling, but steady, deep, and everlasting. When she was at home, Shreya was always too discreet, never letting Gaurav see her body fully. She never revealed more than what modest dresses and thin robes allowed. Intimate moments gradually became rare. Whenever he initiated closeness, Shreya would gently refuse, sometimes with just a sad smile. And always the same familiar reason: psychological wounds from the past. At first, Gaurav respected her silence. He understood that she carried traumas she had never spoken about. He loved her enough to accept the distance without forcing or questioning her. But over time, the silences and small separations between them grew into an unfillable void. There were nights when they lay side by side on the large bed, physically close but with their souls separated by thousands of invisible miles. Shreya still cared for everything, paying attention to his meals, his schedules, the little things. Yet her eyes, when no one was watching, carried a sadness, a secret Gaurav could not touch. It was as if there was a locked door inside her, one he could never open. One afternoon, when Shreya was away visiting an old friend in Delhi, Gaurav found himself standing before the locked door of her private office. Driven by a gnawing need he couldn't explain, he broke inside. At the bottom drawer, under old letters and documents, he found it. For long minutes he stood there, staring at the cold papers in his hands, his heart pounding like a drum against his ribs. Sweat poured from him, even though the room was cool. Each line on the documents was painfully clear. Birth name: Sharad Joshi. Date of birth: identical to Shreya's. Papers from a hospital in Thailand, confirming sex reassignment surgery completed in 2001. Legal name change stamped with a glaring red seal: Sharad Yoreya Joshi. It was as if a blade had pierced straight through Gaurav's chest. For nearly 20 years, he had lived with a woman who had once been a man, and he had never known. The memories, the intimacy, the laughter, the whispered promises, twisted into something cruel and bitter in his mind. He felt betrayed, not just personally, but humiliated before society, before family, before everything he thought he stood for. The idea of people knowing, mocking him behind his back, made his stomach churn with rage. Absent-mindedly, Gaurav stuffed the papers back into the drawer, but the storm inside him only grew. The days that followed were a torment. He could no longer meet Shreya's gaze. Every caring gesture from her, every smile, every soft word only suffocated him more. He began to lash out at little things: a misplaced spoon, children's laughter, the sound of her voice. He couldn't sleep. He drank, but no amount of alcohol could drown out the rage that gnawed at his soul. Shreya noticed his change. She tried harder, cooking his favorite meals, sitting beside him with soft hands and worried eyes, hoping to ease his heart. But everything she did only stoked the fire inside Gaurav. On the night of September 9th, 2013, the small house they had built together filled once again with the scent of curry and warm bread. It was their 20th wedding anniversary, a milestone Shreya had been looking forward to with all her heart. In the kitchen, she hummed as she prepared dinner, her hands moving quickly, her heart light. In the living room, Gaurav sat in silence, the stack of papers in front of him feeling heavier than any boulder. When Shreya entered the room, her face radiant, her eyes shining with anticipation, she was met with a wall of cold, dark fury. Without a word, Gaurav pushed the papers across the table toward her. The world seemed to stop. Shreya stared at the documents, her breath catching in her throat. Old birth certificates, hospital records, the naked truth laid bare. Her hands trembled. She tried to speak, stumbling through a desperate, tearful explanation that she had only ever loved him, that she had only hidden her past out of fear of losing him. But every word she spoke was another knife twisting deeper into Gaurav's wounded pride. He remembered every moment they had shared: peaceful mornings, quiet walks, whispered confessions of love. And now each memory was poisoned. He felt like a fool who had loved a lie. His face turned red, his fists clenched so tightly that his knuckles turned white. Shreya, seeing the madness in his eyes, stepped back in fear, but still tried to reach him, her voice breaking as she pleaded for forgiveness. It was too late. In a blind fury, Gaurav opened the kitchen drawer and pulled out the pistol. His hands shook. His eyes, once full of love for her, were now hollow and cold. Shreya gasped, frozen in horror. The silence between them stretched unbearably thin. And then the gunshot shattered it. Shreya crumpled to the ground, her wide, terrified eyes staring up at him. But Gaurav didn't stop. A second shot, a third, a fourth. When the fifth shot rang out, her body finally lay still, blood pooling across the clean white tiles. The dinner she had lovingly prepared still simmered on the stove, untouched. The gun clattered from Gaurav's hand, the metallic sound echoing through the empty house. Outside, rain began to pour, a heavy curtain of water blurring the world. Inside, Gaurav stood alone, breathing hard, his lifeless eyes fixed on the woman he had once loved more than life itself. The neighbors heard the gunshots. Some peeked through rain-soaked windows. One woman, concerned, ran across the street, banging on the door, getting only silence in return. Minutes later, police sirens howled down the alley. The officers broke down the white wooden door. The smell of blood and gunpowder hit them like a wave. Shreya's body lay sprawled on the kitchen floor, blood spreading in a dark, ugly stain. Gaurav sat slumped against the wall, his back bowed, his blood-stained hands limp in his lap. The gun lay nearby, mute testimony to what had happened. A paramedic covered Shreya's body with a white sheet. The neighbors watched in shocked silence as the stretcher was carried away through the rain. Gaurav didn't resist when they handcuffed him. He said nothing. At the police station, under the harsh lights of the interrogation room, Gaurav finally spoke, his voice cracked, broken. He confessed everything: the rage, the humiliation. Which of these cases shook you the most? Drop your theories in the comments, and if you love unraveling mysteries, check out our next deep dive into the world's most chilling unsolved crimes.